Hello everyone, I am Scuttlest, and lo and behold, there's something new on the Orochi front as Koei recently announced Warriors Orochi 4 Ultimate quite out of nowhere, scheduled for a February 2020 release. I guess that means that the blow has been softened if we end up not getting Samurai Warriors 5 at TGS. Warriors Orochi 4 Ultimate will be an expansion for 2018's Warriors Orochi 4. The original Orochi 4, while I did enjoy it for what it was, ended up being a fairly bland game and showed some obvious signs of being rushed. In many ways, it felt like something they tried to get out as fast as possible to serve as an apology for the changes to the formula in Dynasty Warriors 9 that were not well received by much of anybody. And while certainly a lot more enjoyable than DW9, Orochi 4 proved to be very bare-boned, and was a step backward from Orochi 3 in many respects. We've already gotten word of improvements to the user interface and improvements to Sacred Treasures, amongst other things, courtesy of a new development team. So with any luck, this will be a much deeper game to sink your teeth into. The one thing we've heard so far that I'm not brimming with approval of is that promotions are in the game. Promotions were a thing in Warriors Orochi 3 Ultimate, and they were a very tedious affair, where you had to level a character to the max 10 times over before you could say they were really complete. So I'm just hoping that they handle promotions a bit differently this time. Orochi 4 will be continuing the Greek theme, with our first new character being Gaia, mother of the Titans and grandmother to Zeus, with more characters still to be revealed. More Greek characters? Or perhaps they'll find a way to put Norse characters into the game. Orochi 4's story did say that Odin and Loki are the only surviving Norse deities, but this is a franchise that deals directly with both revivals and time travel, so anything's possible. I would assume, this is not a confirmed fact, but I would assume that deities that were a basis for deifications are not in the cards, so Sao P's deification could cancel the idea of Poseidon. Though I'm ready to eat my words if that ends up not being the case. Koei has also seemed to reverse its position on the subject of guest characters, with the return of Joan of Arc, when previously they had removed guest characters to try and return Warriors Orochi to its roots of being a Dynasty and Samurai Warriors crossover. And, while I was in the process of writing the script, we also got word of Ryu Hayabusa's return. Not that he's a particularly surprising choice for a guest character in a game like this. Unfortunately, the listing on the official website only has slots for 3 guest characters, so if anyone was hoping to get all of Orochi 3 Ultimate's guests back, that's a wish that will go unfulfilled. I do appreciate the return of guest characters. Their return, alongside the earlier mentioned improvements to the UI, means they are responding to criticism and complaints about the original Orochi 4. While I am a little more accepting with cutting guest characters, I am, as a rule, opposed to removing characters in a Warrior sequel. Unfortunately, we won't be getting all the guest characters back, only 3, but it's a start. With Joan of Arc and Ryu, it begs the question of who will the 3rd guest character be. Based on the Greek theme, I could see the 3rd character being Achilles. It is true that the Greek gods in his game were completely different from the Greeks in Orochi, but Achilles is probably the most thematically appropriate character from potential guests. Past Achilles, I could also see William Adams as the 3rd, nor would I really complain to see the 3rd slot go to Ayane or Kasumi. It has, unfortunately, been confirmed on Twitter that we won't be seeing the Spirit of Sanada characters or the DW9 newcomers. I would have thought at least the Spirit of Sanada cast would be here. I don't really see a reason why they aren't here. With the original Orochi 4, I could assume that perhaps their absence was due to the development cycle of the 2 games, but here? As for Dynasty Warriors 9's new characters, there's plenty I would like to see in the old style, but it seems that day is not today. Though I feel it wouldn't be asking too much to want Joe's song, as he has been adapted to the charged combat system in Warriors All-Stars, but I guess it wasn't to be. If we can't get the DW9 newcomers, can we at least get some DW9 costumes? Because I really think that a lot of characters just look their absolute best in DW9. The official website at this time has 6 new character slots, Yet Koei themselves have confirmed 7 new characters in the game, for a grand total of 177 characters in Warriors Orochi 4. Perhaps the 7th character someone they plan to hype up a bit? The new main villain, perhaps? Story-wise, we obviously have a new story scenario about finding the truth of the world. This would hopefully mean that Orochi 4's ending, where the Orochiverse is destroyed, again, has been retconned. Which would be very good, as I must take a stance against that ending, and how redundant it would be to repeat the story of the characters getting dragged back to the world over and over again. But I won't say the ending has been retconned and scrubbed out until I can officially confirm that. It will take quite an effort to salvage Orochi 4's story. It basically entertained me in my time with the game, but it had some real problems, such as taking too long to get the ball rolling, certain characters going completely unused in the story, the villains all being idiots, not noticing how other human henchmen are plotting against them, and some general letdowns in execution. This is not to say that past Orochi games were flawless in their storytelling, and I could make some criticisms about Orochi 3's story as well, but Orochi 4 was probably the worst Orochi title in terms of narrative. Overall, we have extremely little information about the expansion right now, so there's not a whole lot for me to talk about at this time. Hopefully we'll get a bombshell of information at TGS for me to talk about, whether it be characters, story, gameplay, or a bit of all of the above. So until then, I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time.
不露青丝。